Hello.
We're back.
Good
Episode
morning.
5.
We did it.
This is a big one.
It's a milestone for sure.
Yeah. Just over a month now. And
Shit, it actually is.
yeah, given the subject matter of this episode and where we're at in the podcast, I think we're going to quit after this one, right?
Yeah, I think this will be the last
The
time.
last one.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Okay, good. Just checking because,
It's been an interesting week.
it has been an interesting week
It's
indeed.
been it's definitely been one of the more news filled. Like I have probably checked the news.
Dense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
news dense. I've probably checked the news more this week than I have any time over like the pandemic.
Anytime ever. Just,
Yeah.
it's the first time I looked at the news this past.
Seriously though,
It was a weird introduction to the news. I was like, whoa.
this isn't what I expected. It's tough. It's definitely tough. So obviously, R.I.P. Sever Everard.
Yeah.
That's a fucking tragedy if there ever was one.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, um she got taken like 5 minutes away from where I live.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very close to you, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, which is fucking mad. Yeah. So it was like what? Because while I was at home, because all of this stuff happened like while I was at home. I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back at uni now, but this was kind of going on while I was at home, and my mum especially, she was not happy. She was
No, I can imagine.
she was very much quite shaken up by it, and I was too. To be fair, like I don't know. You'd like to think where you live is relatively safe,
Yeah.
but yeah. So it's definitely been a tough one. Yeah.
And it's always that thing where there's the element of like dissociation until it's like on your doorstep.
See, this
And
is the
then
thing. This is the
yeah.
thing. I was talking to one of my mates here about it, and she was saying, so obviously, you know, that fucking god awful statistic came out, the 97% one.
Yeah.
It's mental. And
Crazy.
yeah, and I was talking to her about that, and she was saying, yeah, I've found men don't really register how prevalent it is until it happens to somebody like in their life or like close to them.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah, for sure.
to be honest, I think that rings true. Because there was like a I don't know, there was a like a protest kind of thing at my uni, and like part of it was people coming up and like sharing their stories, sharing their experiences.
Yeah.
And when it's like presented to you like that, and it's just story after story, and there were so many, like I left and there were still people like telling their story.
It's for sure a tricky thing to confront. And I think it works like that in life with a lot of things, Most people don't acknowledge things until it's on their doorstep. When you think about like, I mean, people hear about third world countries and whatnot, but it's hard to like really imagine unless you live it. But I think in this example, it's even amplified because these things are so close, but they're so easy to not acknowledge.
Yeah, I mean, and it's to be fair, it's a shame it takes like that level of perspective before I think men realize the problem. I think it's probably not great that it's like here before we're like, this is an issue.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and that's one of the biggest problems with these kind of things now, is that it's always brought up by a huge tragedy. It always gets to that point where it has to be, everyone is forced to confront it before anyone's willing to confront it, kind of.
But I think now, hopefully, with all the discussion around it, and it's interesting always in the aftermath, I think, to see what kind of measures people want to take.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there was like the 6 p.m. curfew, but I think one of the, and that's like, that's an interesting idea, to be fair. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, the practicalities are a bit like
In the
tricky.
air.
Yeah. But I think one of the more interesting ones is like education. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of talk about like, because obviously, like, it's not a woman's job to just be fucking on alert 24/7. And
Yeah.
so the idea,
And that's the thing now, because that's the thing you keep seeing is like it's not the oh protect your girls, it's the like educate your
educate your
boys.
boys. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of measures go into um educating like young men that they can't just get what they want all the time,
Yeah.
in a sense.
And I think it's an important thing in terms of how much this is, in terms of how much people stick with this conversation. Because the unfortunate truth of it is, a lot of these things come up nowadays and they sort of reach a climax point surrounding a tragedy. And then it
Yeah,
dominates the headlines and the conversation for like a couple of weeks, maybe a month. And then it sort of fades into the background and there's a bit of change, but not really much.
yeah. Well, I think that's, yeah, that's how I used to view these things. But then I think everything that happened with racial inequality in 2020,
Yeah.
I think that made me see like actual change, in a sense, like actual change, quotation in quotation marks. But that kind of that kind of energy, that kind of like need to change, that tipping point, if you will, like
There was
carry.
100% an attitude shift with that one. And that one
Yeah,
was because I think that one had some staying power. Like the whole point of that one was this time it's going to be different. Like this time the conversation isn't
yeah,
just going to happen for,
yeah. And I think we're gonna see a similar fingers crossed, we'll see like a similar energy
yeah,
shift with
hopefully.
this one. And maybe some real change can be made. But
Yeah.
it'll definitely be, because obviously, like, when we were at school, there wasn't any real talk about like those kind of issues. Like, there was no,
No.
like,
And given the ratio of our year in terms of
yeah,
gender,
yeah, well, yeah, in sixth form anyway.
yeah,
But
it
even
was
like,
certainly a conversation that would have been drowned out pretty easily.
yeah, so it will just be interesting, I think, to see the kind of like conversations that, because I think it's got to be something that happens young. I think
Oh,
younger,
for sure, for sure.
because like you've got to definitely like grow up with that changed attitude or the new attitude or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely a learned or inherited thing. It's not an, I
Yeah,
think to an extent, it's not an inherent thing. I think it can
yeah,
become inherent more so as like a product of environment.
yeah. Well, what would you say? It's like systemic or systematic.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like,
systemic. Yeah,
yeah, it's like built into the society. So it's gonna take a,
some time,
some time, but like,
some
ob-
reworking.
obviously, like, if we start now, then.
Exactly.
But yeah, fucking hell. The other interesting to see thing to see when these things like come up is the fucking the backlash to it all.
Yeah,
Like,
which is, I
they
mean,
there always is.
anything you bring up anywhere related to the internet, there's just whatever.
Just the wrong people.
Yeah.
Just the entirely wrong people.
Should we just bin
Fucking
the internet? Should we just kill it?
should we should we,
Just
should
end
we
it.
set
Just end
fire
it.
to the internet? Oh my god. But it's so weird.
Predictable. It's just predictable at
It
this
is
point.
pretty, to be fair, at this point, it is definitely predictable to see fucking, somebody brings up this important discussion, and you'll see fucking Noob Master 420XX feminist wrecker in the comments, fucking Actually, this is entirely incorrect. It's like,
The actual percentage of these events occurring is
it's
not
just like,
at all what it's made to seem.
he's just like a bit fucking like, when? What,
Yeah,
like, we don't care, bro.
yeah,
I don't know. The whole fucking, what is it? Not all men. That whole fucking
yeah,
attitude. I don't know. I've it.
yeah. We'll oh, we're gonna talk about our not all men fellas for a second because these boys have an interesting perspective on things, don't they?
It's definitely a perspective. It's
It is a
definitely
perspective for
it
sure.
is a perspective, but it's interesting because I remember the other day you were saying in your kind of social feeds you get like the important conversations going on, and then you'll scroll down, and then the exact next
Yeah,
thing is
yeah.
fucking. It's it's
And they kill it with the timing as well. They're always on it.
they're quick with it. Say what you want
Yeah,
about
of
them.
course.
They're fucking on it. It's just oh, I can understand why it's so like difficult to talk about these things. I think because it's especially if you're like telling a personal story, it's so fucking hard, and I have so much
Yeah.
respect for people who can tell their stories about that, and there'll always be that one fucking goof who's just
I
like,
have to say, yeah, one of the most interesting things I saw was before we go off on our boys who are doing this stuff. There was one of the most interesting things I've seen in the last couple of days was because a lot of the times these guys they have that argument of oh I'm just being devil's advocate, you know,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
yeah
yeah.
I'm just playing the other side.
Mm.
And I saw some tweet that was like, oh, people need to understand that when it's personal stories of racism and like sexual abuse and harassment and stuff, you don't need a devil's advocate. It's not necessary.
No, you don't,
You
because
can just leave that role
no,
unfilled for a change.
because the idea of a devil's advocate is supposed to be like an argument
Yeah,
against an argument. But when you're telling a personal story, that's not an argument. That's not a debate. It's like,
exactly.
what you meant, like, how would you even argue against that? Yeah, I had this like terrible thing happen to me. Yeah, but that didn't happen.
Uh, yeah, now we're going to flame these kids. Now we're going to absolutely sun them.
Fuck
Let's
them.
go.
I think it's such a, and I think when they're like younger, it's like, okay, it's like a system, obviously, like you've grown up with this kind of attitude, you've got some learning to do, but I'm not gonna fucking like,
Yeah,
you know, go in on you.
crucify
If you are a grown ass man,
person. Yeah,
and you feel the personal need to like
that's the thing.
qualify that it's not all men or whatever, whenever you see some shit like this, bro,
That's the thing that's so predictable about it. It's the way they confuse all these things as a personal affront. And it was the same thing which happened last
don't you
summer
think,
with the Black Lives Matter thing. It's like, no, all lives matter. No, no, no. This is not about you.
but don't you think that's
This
kind
is,
of worrying? If you see,
yeah,
if somebody sees a statistic about 97% of women get like sexually harassed or sexually assaulted in their lifetime, and somebody sees that as a personal attack,
yeah. And there's
what
an,
does that say about you?
it definitely speaks volumes about your character, but there's also an element of delusion to it. It's an inability for people to like separate themselves from a conversation that needs to be had. It's like, oh, if
Yeah,
you're discussing this thing about these people, you know, it has to be about me as well, right? No, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have anything to do with you in a way. It
yeah,
does, but it also doesn't.
yeah. No, definitely. There's definitely like you are you're not the subject of this conversation. It doesn't have to revolve around you. You're definitely a part of it, just not in the way that you want to be a part of it.
Or even to an extent, not in the way that you're afraid you're a part of it. Because that I think there's the
Yeah.
heaviest part of that is the element of fear. It's like, oh, but if this conversation continues the way it's going, you know, what's going to happen to me? What's going to be my role? And it's
Well, I
like,
mean,
no, no, no,
as
you're
long as
missing the
you're
entire point.
yeah, but as long as you're like on your shit and you're doing all the right things,
Exactly.
like nothing should happen to you. Like, I think that's definitely, I think, at least in like the fucking celebrity world or whatever, or like the political talking point world, it's like, oh, they're gonna come for, they're gonna, I don't know, come for my freedoms and my liberties if conversations like this keep happening. How?
I think
Where?
so much of it has to do with the approach as well. It's the approach that they take, which is just this complete like disrespect. Because it's not
Yeah.
that we're saying that like I think with a lot of things need to be looked at from different angles, and I do actually appreciate that, and in a way the fundamental idea behind that is an interesting one. However, I think there's a time for it which they completely ignore,
Yeah.
and there's an approach to it which they just get completely wrong.
Yeah.
Their approach is essentially, let me just completely discredit everything you've said and just
Absolutely.
essentially insult and berate you.
Yeah. But it's the same thing how you were saying, like you don't need a devil's advocate for a person right,
Exactly.
right? Like
Exactly.
people are dumb, man. People are so fucking dumb.
Fucking
I don't know,
dickless pieces
because I
of
think it
shit.
just shows. I think it just also like, even if you're like the most apolitical guy, if you're like, but well, the other thing is, and this is an interesting thing I saw actually, like somebody was talking about like the whole situation. And then I remember they posted a reply that somebody said about them talking about it, and it was like, "Oh, I'm glad to see you're getting into your more political side." And then they said human rights or like women's rights is not a political issue, and it's actually true if you think
Yeah.
about it.
It is
Like,
weird how so many of these, because these are social issues, really,
yeah,
above all, and they get so heavily politicized now.
yeah, it's so interesting to see. Like, well, it's horrible, first of all, to see like how political these kind of issues can get when it's just like, I don't know, fucking, oh, women are trying to take away, freedom of speech. It's like, nah, bro, they just want equality, or like
They
they
just want to
just want to
walk
feel,
around and
yeah, they
not
just
be
want to feel
stressed, basically.
safe.
Just like you walk around everywhere and don't have to stress. They just want to walk around and just chill.
Oh, but they're gonna lock me in a cage.
Oh,
Or,
bro, but it's not all of us, bro. but dude, come on.
oh, just
I mean, the level
get
of
in the bin.
insecurity that needs to come from that kind of thing, where you're just
Mm.
imagine being scared of the thought of just women just feeling safe,
Imagine being
like, because that's
scared of the
essentially
thought of
what it is.
women.
Yeah.
It's, oh god, I don't know. It's not a good attitude.
No.
It's not a good
Inbreds. Inbreds.
attitude. But I tell you what, as much as we can insult them, like at the end of the day, like the insults are funny, and they do make me feel good. And obviously they're fucking stupid. But at the end of the day, the insults aren't going to do anything to like change their minds.
No.
And there is a point to be had where it's like, at what point do you like keep trying to have rational conversations with these people? Because I know
Yeah,
there's a lot
and I
of
do
people,
think that
there's
is
talk
that
about
is
like, nah, I'm done with having these conversations. Like, there's a lot of, and to be fair, like I completely understand that, and I back that fully. A lot of people will go, um, like there's that whole book, Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race, where it's like
exactly, yeah.
can't have a conversation with these people anymore because they don't get it. I
And I
don't.
think that is the biggest thing. It's the element of like confrontation, and so many people are afraid to confront that, even their personal lives, their history, that's people find that a scary thing to look at, and people often
Yeah.
like associate those things as like a reflection on themselves, whereas when you actually confront it, it can be tricky, like, to get over that hurdle.
Mm,
But that is essentially the biggest part that needs to be done, because I think once you confront it, a lot of the time it's hard to deny the truth of it, but people are just so scared to confront it.
it's true. It's true. But it needs to happen. I think, I don't know. I think some people definitely need a push. Like there will be a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of people. There will be a lot of people who like look at these things going on and they will voluntarily like self-reflect, and they'll be like, oh shit, I've been a part of the problem, I've done this, I've done that. But there will be some people who are so caught up in the insecurity of it all that they need somebody to fucking shake them by the shoulders and go, you are part of the problem.
Yeah. And
And
I do think some people, like, it is not worth talking to them, but I do think sometimes I do agree that some certain people will just need a push, some like a stronger push than others,
yeah,
but it's not it's not a lost cause. I feel like the idea of like trying to get people to, I don't think it's this thing of, and that's one of the dangers of like these things getting so politicized, is
mm,
that the association that like whichever aisle you're on essentially defines everything about your personality. Like the
yeah,
idea of just looking at things from a moral standpoint, regardless of politics, is like
yeah.
it's
Because
completely
that's what this
removed
is.
from the conversation.
It's a moral thing.
Yeah, completely.
I don't know. People again, people are dumb, man. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think definitely like at some point, and I think this goes back to like the education thing. Like at some point, you know, men or boys really need to be taught that like there is a there is a certain attitude that you need to have
Yeah.
in order to like change. Because I think a lot of boys will grow up thinking that they can do whatever they want and they can say whatever they want. There's a very no consequences attitude that I think
a
a lot of
100%.
people
Yeah.
are brought up with.
And I do hope that the tide is changing with that, and I do hope it
Yeah,
sticks around.
yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I think the other thing is a lot of guys might find it hard to like because I remember a lot of the conversation was around like check your friends, like check your
Yeah.
friends, keep on your friends, like correct them, hold them accountable. And I think a lot of people find it hard to do that. And
Yeah.
I guess that's understandable, to be fair. Like you kind of don't want to because it's an awkward conversation to have.
Yeah, for
I think it's
sure.
an important one.
And it is that it just goes back to that thing of people think it's like personally infringing on their rights, and there's the people who are just like, but I want to make jokes, I just want to make jokes. And like, yeah, I
Bro,
understand that
if
because
you're
I want to make
funny,
jokes because I'm hilarious.
yeah,
But the thing is, if your only form of joke is to just hurt like everybody in the room, that's
literally.
not a joke.
No,
And
yeah,
I do stand by this thing that sometimes certain things you say will like not upset most people and then upset one person because of like a personal thing. Because look, at the end of the day, and we were saying this a few days ago and we were just talking about it,
yeah,
everyone sees things as they are, not as the things actually are. You see things through your life, you bring your whole
yeah,
life everywhere you go, and you see things through that lens.
yeah,
And you can never fully embrace the way that somebody else sees something because they haven't lived your life, and different things are upsetting to different people for different reasons, and that's completely valid. So I think the thing that people confuse is that like, look, sometimes someone's going to find something upsetting that other people don't, and there's not necessarily anything inherently wrong with that, because I'm sure a lot of things anyone would say would upset someone. But this idea of, oh, it's only funny if I'm annoying at least half of the room, it's like, I don't know.
but
Where? How
it's
does
like,
that?
oh, it's dark, edgy humor. It's just dark humor, bro. You don't get it. Nah, bro. You just called a woman a slag for like 5 straight minutes, or something like that. It's just like
Bro, get this man the Grammy for best comedy album, please. Where is it? Where is it? I can't see
if
it. Where
it's
is
like
it gone?
if you're funny, if you're actually funny, you can be funny without the shock humor, the shock value of it all, or like the fucking oh I can't believe he said that type shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
And that's the biggest thing. It's this humor for the sake of shock, because you can say shocking things or surprising things that are funny without being inherently like shock value humor. But
Yeah,
when you go around just trying to get people to to like adjust themselves in their chair as they listen to what you say, because you know they're starting to get
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
if your
I
audience
think
are
if you're
giving them
looking for that,
timeless answers, like
there's a bit of a you've got a bit of a problem, because if you're looking for that level of unease, then I don't know. I think it's
there are some people
questionable
that
what
can do it.
reasons
There
you're
are some
doing it
people
for.
that can do it really well, to be fair, and they'll only do it with certain things, and it'll be like personal to them though. It won't be. They won't just get up there and go, uh, I don't know, insert minority group here are dumb,
Yeah,
and it's just cricket. So there are some people that can do it really well, but yeah, I would definitely say just there's a common sense that goes into it. There's a common sense, and if you're
yeah,
throwing that out the window for the sake of comedy, then I
yeah.
don't know. You need to check.
And as we were saying, you know, you can be funny without doing that. And some
Yeah.
proof of that is our last episode, episode 4 Beef. Go watch it now. Cheap plug.
Oh, what a way to plug! What a way to.
Ah.
That's phenomenal.
And
God
that's what we
damn.
call in the biz monopolizing a situation for personal gain.
Jesus, it's been a more.
Welcome to Cutthroat Ethics 101.
Oh my god, it's been a more serious episode for sure.
Yeah.
It's been a more serious episode, but I think
And I'm sure at some point we'll be back with our hijinks, but I do
yeah,
think,
it's an important.
and I think we weren't too heavy. It wasn't that we were preaching. I think it was just,
Yeah,
it was
if
a conversation that needed to be had.
yeah, if anybody's gonna take anything away from this episode, I don't expect anyone, like, however you identify, to like go out and change the world on your ones. So if anything, start with yourself, because that's where everything
And if
starts.
everyone does that, then
And then hold your friends accountable, and just the people closest to you. I think.
problem starts to dissolve pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, not pretty quickly. I think there are a lot of things that need to go on before we
Yeah,
get.
true. But if
But
everyone was on it,
yeah. So yeah, and I think we'll leave it there. But
yeah.
thank you guys for tuning into this one, and we will see you in the next.
Next time.
Bye bye.